cone, but when it started moving, it got louder and more powerful in the sound, and as it rose up, and that's when it hit me.
And it was almost like they were sleeping and you woke them up.
Yeah, something was going on there.
Well, because it's odd where they were. I mean, is there any minerals in the soil up there, or any gold, or?
Well, there's a lot of minerals. Something that was kind of interesting is the investigators that came onto the site afterwards detected with Gauss meters, which is something that measures magnetic forces, that there was a strong field right in that area that sort of was real high on the positive end and moved to the negative across the direction that the craft departed. And these magnetic forces, traces or whatever, supposedly diminished to normal within a week. The investigators went back and charted it out again later. Well, a woman that was working at one of the lookout towers, they have these fire lookouts on the high ridges to watch for fires during the fire season, said that the following summer that the federal government sent a crew in there to map out the magnetics, take magnetic readings on the ground. And that's really strange to me because I thought that kind of stuff was done from the air. But, this team, came by and made contact with the Rangers.
How long after that was that? Or?
That was the following summer.
Following summer, yeah, still, I guess, looking for residual.
Or what? Who knows?
What attracted them, yeah. Because you got to wonder, what were they doing sitting there? And then I got to kind of wonder, too, were they aware of y'all coming down the road? The headlights were on the truck, right?
Boy, that's a good question. In all these years, nobody's asked that question. It was starting to get dark, so I would think he would have turned the lights on.
Yeah, see, I was curious about that because I was thinking, I've heard y'all describe the truck, and I've been in a King Cab International before, and I'm thinking they noisy, crunchy kind of, especially the old ones, they all jarring and bouncing around.
Next time I see the guys on the crew, I'm going to ask them if they can remember whether the lights were on.
Yeah, because I
might not have turned them on yet, just because, the glow from the craft was so distinct. It seemed like there had been headlights.
Yeah, because I was just curious. I was just wondering, because I'm kind of wondering if they were aware that you were coming, if they stayed to maybe watch y'all while y'all were watching them, kind of deal, They might have been just as nosy about you as you was about them. They just had the upper hand, unfortunately.
That kind of gives you an uneasy feeling, to think that they might have been in the area and observing us as we went about our work. But I guess maybe it's because I would wish it wasn't like that, but I just kind of like to think that they were surprised that we come upon them as we were. But
they might have been.
I don't know.
They might have been. We're talking a pretty heavily wooded area. They might have thought, they were below the tree line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they might have thought they were safe, tucked in, going to do a little. They might have been doing a little sleeping, might have been doing a little repair when you walked there, and that might have been why it was an automatic defense system.
Who knows what they were up to? But I do prefer to think that they weren't waiting for us, that we weren't selected for.
Well, because then you got to wonder why your poor bad luck they got you.
People say, do you think they've been tracking you all your life? And, so that's uncomfortable stuff,
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I just seen a question go by in a virtual auditorium. They wanted to know if you thought you might have an implant, but I've never heard you say that anywhere, so.
Well, they did X-ray my upper body.
Oh, well, see, you never know.
Now the doctors that in the medical test that followed my return.
But you haven't. Have you had any experiences since then, or any weirdness, or just?
Well, when this happened, it was already a worldwide news story before I was ever returned. So I had no choice about going public. If anything more was to happen, I don't think I'd say anything, you know.
So I can't say I blame you there either. I really can't. I mean, I didn't particularly think you got the best shake to start off with as for somebody coming forward, and I really thought they could have handled this better and treated you a little better than what they did, to be honest with you. But see, for me, you're one of the groundbreakers because you did have the ability. You stood up, you stood behind what you said, you took the polygraph test, you showed everybody you wasn't lying, you were telling the truth, and you probably did more for the field of ufology than most people will do in 2 lifetimes of working in the field. And you're not even a ufologist, so I have to tell you thank you for that.
Well, I have to remind people I'm not a ufologist. I'm not an expert about UFOs. All I know is what happened to me.
And that's what you should be. I mean, that's the thing, you know, and that's what we're interested in. I mean, everybody, there's probably close to 1 million people listening to you tonight, and that's what they're interested in, what happened to you. And I notice it crosses every generation. You know, my kids interested in you. Other people I know's kids are interested in you. I don't think, Travis, me and you're going to be gone 500 years. Somebody's going to pick up your book and say, damn. You know, I can't see how you can't. You know, maybe I'm too partial to this, but I just can't see how you can. I mean, 100 years from now, somebody looks at this book and goes, Jesus, you know, what happened here?
You know, some of the lack of attention from official channels is really kind of puzzling at times, you know. It's like the phenomenal growth of those trees right at the site.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's something, the physical evidence that you can look at. And it was years before anybody came and took samples to a lab. But, you know, you can actually look with a core from the tree at 50 years of thin tree growth. And then all of a sudden it's many times thicker right at the date. You know, you can pinpoint the date in the tree rings. At the time that the craft descended into that area. And it's only affected the trees that are right close to where the craft descended. And to me, I'm just surprised at how little interest from the scientific community that came from that.
Yeah, you got to kind of wonder about that. And
first, you know, here's an artifact. This is the thing they claim they're really wanting, you know. Well, we got to have some physical evidence. Well, what could cause this?
Yeah, and you got to kind of wonder what could cause this. And something like that, I mean, come on, the way we go through lumber and stuff, wouldn't we need something that could make trees grow faster? We could cut down less trees that way. We could use more stands that way. I mean, it would be beneficial to our society. So you got to kind of wonder what the blank was going on. And then you got to wonder why you hear all these scientists who say, I want physical evidence, but yet when there's trace cases with physical evidence, they don't want to get involved. I personally think they don't want the reality being shaken up, to be honest with you, Travis, but I could be way wrong, too. There might be somebody standing behind them going, no, you can't do that. Now, have you been harassed? I mean, did you ever have any government harassment or any involvement with them?
Yeah, there was some.
There was some, yeah, because probably because you were talking about it, but it could be anything. Did they?
Yeah, we kind of got the feeling that they were trying to say shut up about it, but they never said it directly.
Yeah, they never did. They always kind of, you know, do this. Or
but you know, one of the most curious things about this was, you know, during the time that the movie was coming out, and I was on the road for Paramount and doing a lot of interviews, a guy called up and said that he'd been deer hunting in the area at the time. You know, we knew it was deer season, and there were a few hunters who had reported things. We found out from the sheriff's files that, you know, they'd actually come and reported it to the sheriff, although he didn't choose to make that public, which I think the media was, you know, sort of unfairly kept in the dark, that there were other witnesses. But this one particular witness was on the next ridge, and he said that at the time he was married and he was deer hunting with his wife, and that he was stationed in Texas, and he was in military intelligence, and he consulted with his superiors. Should I come forward about this?